Welcome and greetings everyone for joining us for the pre-event webinar, which is titled Market Strategies and Opportunities in the Middle East Glass Industry. This webinar is conducted under the banner of Second Global Glass Show on 11th, 12th September 2024 at Movenpick Grand Al Bustan. My name is Anjali Deorane and I am privileged to host this significant webinar with our esteemed panelists. Today we have Alina Valcarce, founder and director of design, Valcarce Architects, Yoann Plourde, associate design leader at Woods Bagot, Binoy Kumar Das, founder and design director at Facade Concept Design Group, Amrutha Kishor, sustainable design architect and founder at Eminent, Sandra Woodall, regional ambassador for sustainability at Royal Institute of British Architects, and design principal at tangramMENA. So I would like to welcome you all once again. And without any further ado, I would like to ask Alina, what are the current trends shaping the Middle East glass industry?
Well, welcome. Thank you for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to join the webinar today. I would start, as everyone knows, saying that the Middle East is a really good market, a construction boom market at the moment. So that is something that definitely shaping the glass in the Middle East. We at Valcarce Architects, we are working a quite exciting projects at the moment, including a few high-rise in Dubai and a few resort development in Saudi Arabia itself. I'm actually pleased to see Binoy here in the webinar itself because we are working together in a couple of projects, and he has been working with me for the last 9 years. So it's actually quite satisfying for me to see him here, and he will probably expand further on the discussion. So the glass in the Middle East, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity of what is happening in the region, and especially in the GCC region itself. The use of glass is increasing, of course, because the construction booming at the moment. The high rise that we are working on, clients are asking more to use more and more glass. That is a little bit different to the type of facade that we were working before. Like actually into residential development, the developers that we are working at the moment, they really request to use more glass. I see a little bit of different how the glass is getting used on our projects. And I would say mainly also because the approach of the region itself to sustainability and how that glass needs to be used. So a lot of research have been going forward to how can we really reduce emission and low-E glazing, and how we can implement that into our projects. So this is something that really is getting really pushed forward. On projects, for example, with Binoy itself, what we try to do as well is to study the entire facade and entire emission on the facade and how we can really make sure that, I mean, we don't need to use one single type of glass in the entire facade. So how we are going to implement the low emission and what kind of different type of glazing can go across the entire facade to have a more sustainability development at the end and reduce of core heating that is really important in the region. Another thing that I am seeing on the type of glass, I mean, specifically looking to glass, like I would call it, I don't know if it's a trend or not, but before we were using a lot of dark blue glazing. And if you see the skyline, even in Dubai itself, there is a lot of blue glazing in the past use. The new developments, the new projects that we're working on right now, they're actually pushing us out in the skyline itself. So I don't know if it's a trend, it's something that is coming on, but it's also something that is I mean, the clients, I wanted to see a little bit different type of glazing, what kind of different colors sometimes we are using, and actually push it forward and push it out of that blue standard glazing color that we had before.
Thank you, Alina, for the insightful overview. The Middle East glass industry is being shaped by many new trends, which you have focused the light on. And I believe these developments are driving innovation and growth, positioning the region as a key player in the global glass market. So now, turning to our next speaker, Yoann, I would like to know how is the regulatory landscape affecting the growth of the glass industry in the Middle East region?
Thank you. Yeah, of course. I mean, we've been, so at Woods Bagot, we've been using a lot of, let's say, evidence-based approach to convince the authority that we were designing a sustainable building and showing them through evidence that, in fact, our facade perform well. Because as you might already know, whether it's in Dubai with the Green Building Code or Estedama in Abu Dhabi, there are certain regulation, especially towards window to wall ratio. So now clients, obviously, and even myself wants floor to ceiling glazing. Well, this is not really affecting, this is performing good or well. So what we do is the authority basically is giving a lot more flexibility and give us the opportunity to use energy model or even CFD analysis if it's a FLS concern in order to achieve the design intent and while maintaining the sustainability target. So to answer your question, yes, there are regulations that apply to certain type of building and can comply fairly easily. But for building that, let's say, are a bit more high-end, and I've been working on Masdar City Campus and some other business park in the region, and obviously, the idea is to have, and especially from an architect perspective, as clear as possible, and because you want to bring natural light in, and you want to bring some sustainable workplace that would be a flagship for the country. So because of the tool we're using, we're able to convince the authority, and we see a lot of opening in the country and a lot of understanding that it's not only about the good old architect and the dream of someone when it comes to interior or design in terms of facade, but there are ways and there are tools. And what Alina was saying is absolutely true, because we usually use a series or a myriad of different type of glass with different performance depending on the orientation of the building. So it's not anymore about design or just what you would expect or prefer as a client, but it's actually very scientific, and it's not and it's evidence based, and that's how we can achieve better design that perform as well as they would be if they were to follow exactly the regulation that is in place in the UAE right now.
Thank you very much, Yoann, for sharing your thoughts on the same. These regulations are driving innovation and compliance, ensuring the industry's alignment with the global best practices. And with this, I would like to ask Sandra, what role does sustainability play in the future of the Middle East glass industry? And how are companies adapting to meet environmental standards and consumer expectations?
Thank you, Anjali. Well, I've lived and worked here in the Middle East, based here in UAE for 30 years. So I've seen lots and lots of changes over this career. As we know, 70% of the glass manufactured today goes into the construction industry, with much of that being architectural glass. It goes onto our buildings. In the construction industry, our buildings are responsible for 37% of the global carbon emissions. And across the world, almost every nation, so not just in the Middle East, but across the world, every nation's confirmed its commitment almost to decarbonizing its economy by 2040, 2050, 2060, and so on. Almost everyone has a target date. And in the Middle East, we're going to expect to see this continued building at an unprecedented scale over this period of time because of the population growth that's anticipated. Rapid urbanization will continue. So in terms of sustainability and the need to have a more sustainable product, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the last year, the United Nations published a report on building materials and the climate, constructing a new future. And the report highlights the urgent need to develop new models for cooperation on the decarbonisation of all building materials if the world is to reach its goals for net zero emissions from the built environment sector by mid-century, by 2050. And the United Nations itself pinpoints 3 overarching strategies which need to be implemented together to decarbonise our building materials, glass being an important one of them. We must avoid unnecessarily extracting and production. We're already over-extracted and overproduced from the Earth's resources as is, which we're all very understanding of and clear of. We need to shift to regenerative materials. New materials need to be formed that can regrow themselves, as it were, in the future. And work is being done on this. There's certainly teams I work with at UCL in London, Bioscene, etc., working on regenerative materials. And we must improve the decarbonisation of conventional materials. A lot of our building stock is built from conventional materials, and a lot of it in the coming future will continue to be so. It's there, it exists, we know how to use it, but we know the defects in this in terms of sustainability. We know it falls very, very short. So we all need to work to implement these United Nations strategies so that jointly we can all pave a way for a greener and more sustainable built environment, which aligns with every one of our global climate objectives for each and every country. For the glass industry, this means that architectural glass, it must be produced differently from what we've done in the past to remove carbon from the process. We must specify differently, produce certainly for this region, the cooling load on the interior of the buildings, which we have to deal with, and is an heavy carbon energy load, which we must reduce. We must produce and recycle for reuse. Innovation and more advanced technologies are the only way forwards. Automated systems, robotics in glass production lines, this enhances precision. It reduces human error, it increases overall efficiencies, and it does allow us for higher quality products and more complex designs and streamlines the production process. This reduces time and energy spent on creating the glass that we use. It reduces waste, so less material in the first place is needed, which addresses item 1 on the UN strategy, or works towards that. In order for us to create the same amount of product at the end, reduce the waste. And smart glass technologies, which have been touched on, there's things like electrochromatic glazing, thermochromatic glazing, etc., which I'm sure we're going to explore deeper as we continue to talk today. But one of the key criteria of those UN strategies is that the reuse and recycling, circularity is something that is only just being introduced into this region. We're only just getting to understand and become more and more aware about what circularity means and what the reuse and recycling of products on the scale that we need to do in order to secure a net zero future for us all. So this is one of the key ones which we need to start to explore because it's not something that we've really looked at traditionally up until now in terms of our net zero exploits and decarbonisation for the future.
Thank you very much, Sandra. What we can understand is that the shift towards sustainable solution is driving innovation and ensuring long-term industry growth. And there are a lot of technologies that are coming in a way. And with this, now I would like to ask Binoy, how is the demand of the glass products evolving in different sectors, such as construction, automotive, and packaging in the Middle East?
Yeah, hi everyone. From my point of view, is that the overview of the Middle East glass market, like there are majorly on the construction sectors where the developments are happening with different types of the projects, the high rise or maybe a different geometry where architecture has a better flexibility to design because of the glass facade. Secondly, the technology advancement in the constructions that is flexible and complex design demand can be achieved. Rising automotive industry growth and the industrial and infrastructure. These are the three key points where the glass industries are growing faster, mostly in the Middle East and the GCC region. So the aspect what you see over here is that when you call it a glass, so it act on the different way on the functionality of the glass. Let's we consider that the building, commercial buildings, or maybe hospitality, the hotels or healthcare. So different factors affect on there in terms of the heat, the weather condition, in terms of your safety, security, then the dynamics. So based on the weather condition, like the maximum heat outside, the inside have to control. So there's a essential differential of the heat transfer from outside to inside, which we call as the adaptive facade. So because of the climate condition, the thermal control, the glass, different type of glasses been come up, manufactured with a lot of innovation by different glass manufacturing industry. Let's say we have a single silver Louis glass, we have double silver, triple silver. So the thermal control can be done, the heat calculations. And glass also plays a very important role where the overall energy efficiency can be done, not only the reducing the heat, but also the operational cost can be looked out, optimized, that the air conditioning chillers can be designed rightly with the right thermal. So glass plays a very important role in terms of the performance factors, in terms of your the maximum daylight to come in. There are different, as Alina said, and the ones rightly mentioned about the glass before was more into the tint like blue, green, but now it's slowly transforming into the clear substrate where you get the maximum artificial light inside. The daylight inside, and we don't need to sometimes use the artificial light, inside because of the maximum daylight coming. But how do you control the glare and the heat through the glass layers, which is a low-E glass, as we all know about it. Then the complex geometry, like different design can be formed because of the facade industry has been advanced a lot in terms of the designing on the facade. Being as a facade consultant, we've been doing many projects in Middle East, in Dubai. So we get a very independent free hand to find a solution, discuss with architects to achieve their requirement, their concept to compliance with their requirement, and of course with the local authority, with the codes of practice. So design aspects, it's not difficult nowadays to get into any complexity or any type of facade to be. And when we design, we keep it in mind that, okay, there are manufacturers who can support into the design, making into reality. So because of this, the construction industries in terms of the glass is the highest, one of the highest market in the Middle East regions, in the GCC. So yes, there are different way where the developments are happening. Apart from the architectural glass, like there are some smart glass solutions where it's already been mentioned about photochromatic glass, where the glass colors has been changed with respect to the sun path directions. So it is a like to have the developments, to have the possible in terms of the designing and the constructions to be happen. So of course the designer, the architects, and the manufacturer has to combinedly work through the possible way. That's how this industry can look on. Yes. And in terms of your automobile industries, yes, there is still a lot of growth over there, and the glass plays a major role in terms of the safety glass, which are laminated glass, or maybe the bulletproof glass, different type of the glasses for the demand required from the automobile industries. Yes.
Thank you so much, Binoy. Indeed, you have highlighted the important points about the demand of glass industries in the Middle East. And this increasing demand is driven by advancements in technology across these industries. And as the conversation evolves, I would like to ask Amrutha, what is the current role of glass in architectural facades nowadays? And what is its impact on the global carbon footprint?
So thank you so much for the question, Anjali. So first, I'd like to start by saying that the building construction and management industry is the greatest contributor to the global carbon footprint worldwide, right? And so that's not just the manufacturing cost of the materials, the construction of the building, it's also how buildings are used and the energy to make the buildings livable over a large span of time. And in spaces like the Middle East, so I grew up in Dubai 20 years ago. So I see a trend where, like, at that time, having glass in all the facades was how to be modern. It was like the image of modern Dubai was all about the glass. But what was failed to understand at that point of time, and I see it when you look at buildings nowadays, there is a lot of difference in the way it's designed. People are starting to use passive solutions, different materials, multiple glazing, like double glazing and triple glazing. It's becoming a norm now. But 20 years back, the whole impact it had on the people living inside, right? The fact that they were actually heating up, the energy efficiency aspect was not really put into place. And I see there is a very, there is a lot of research going on in this area. And I feel that we're definitely headed in the right direction, right? Because we still want to use the material, but there is still a lot of research happening, and there are these new products where the glass in the facade could act like solar panels and harvest energy. There are lots of passive solutions that's being applied. So I think we're definitely, going one step closer, and more architects are going into conscious design, sustainable design. It's not a passing fad anymore. It's now accepted, like, this is something we definitely need to pay attention to as we go ahead, as we are all experiencing, the changing climate. Sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's too cold. The weather is unpredictable. So even in the UAE last few months back, we had these flash floods. So it's all connected, and it all comes together. But we have a long way to go as architects. Like, it's important that every architect considers facade design, the energy impact of the facade design, and not just the aesthetic part. But daylighting, of course, is very important. But there has to be a balance. Like, beyond a certain amount of glass, there are a lot of thumb rules to this. Beyond a certain amount of glass is not healthy for the building as it is. So more and more architects moving in this direction would be the right way to go ahead.
Thank you very much, Amrutha, for bringing your expertise on how glass plays a pivotal role in modern architectural facades, offering both aesthetic appeal and energy efficiency. And with this, I would like to ask again, Sandra, how is technology impacting the Middle East glass industry, particularly in terms of innovation and sustainability?
Yeah, I mean, as Amrutha has just mentioned, architectural glass primarily and fundamentally is used for seeing through, as well as for capturing and bringing in natural light. And glass chosen by designers up until now, because of its perceived aesthetics, and as it's and designers have always wanted more and more to produce bigger and bigger sheets of glass. And even today, more than ever before, we just have to look at what's just been achieved on at Royal Atlantis on the Palm in Dubai. That the scale and size of the glazing there is quite breathtaking. Really, it is. So technologically, as has been said, it can be achievable. The companies can deliver what the designers are asking for. But of course, this ingress of light brings with it, as we've mentioned, solar glare, heat, and the temperatures here in the Middle East. This brings us problems as we need to spend more and more of our energy, of carbon, on the comfort cooling of our internal spaces. Strict construction codes and more sustainability requirements are growing, yes, not necessarily everywhere across the Middle East, but we certainly, in the Gulf here, we certainly tend to lead the way when it comes to standards and quality and expectations. So glass specifications are now changing so that we can look to reducing this energy load. And I mean, traditionally, for as long as I can remember here, we've been specifying low E glass, which should be getting better and better in quality and in performance. And other smart glass solutions are being developed. The photochromatic glass, thermochromatic glass coming onto the market, which change their properties based on the external conditions. So the light or the temperature levels outside alter how that glass actually performs while it's in place, which is incredible. And it will react to help on particular individual circumstances. Because when we talk about the Middle East, of course, that's a vast region. Yeah, I mean, each project is different and has very, very different local environmental context. One size does not fit all in what we produce in our products. In terms of the climate, we have desert climates, mountain climates, coastal climates, and each needs a response geared to a project's own specific climate and local condition. So these are very exciting for me, the way that this technology is moving forward. And I think if this comes through based on our level of expectations and promises, delivers what it promises, and this will be an incredible solution that goes towards reducing the energy loads of our buildings, and which is what all the net zero, the operational use of carbon, etc., is involved with. But I'm from a generation that I used self-cleaning glass, specified self-cleaning glass more than 20 years ago. Self-cleaning glass today here in the Middle East is not necessarily as high on the agenda as what it could be, because the uses that we've had from previous, the special materials used in that, it was intended to reduce maintenance cost, enhance longevity of installations, and certainly here where we get the sandy, dusty climates across the Middle East, this would be something you would expect to see on every building, but we don't. Still, we see cradles on every building. We see abseilers on every building, because the self-cleaning glass which we were promised 20 plus years ago hasn't yet delivered. It's still being developed to be the commodity that we've always been told it can be. So in terms of all the other technologies, we need to see them move through to the delivery stage and deliver on the expectations. And we need to see it done at a speed that we've never seen, never experienced before, because of the speed of rapid urbanization that we do experience here in the Middle East. So we need the promises that are being made in terms of technology. They need to be affordable and deliverable, so that it can, the changes can be widespread. If the product prices itself out of everything but the elite buildings, and regular everyday building owners can't utilize these new products, then they're not scalable. And then if they're not scalable, they can't be used across the board which is what is essential in order to achieve sustainability. So innovation, technology, and sustainability. There's a loop there that we have to make sure is completely filled before it does deliver and do everything for each other. In order to be innovative and technologically advanced, we must deliver sustainably. And it's not just about the technology or innovation, it's about the cost and the application and the installation. It needs to be usable and widely usable in order for it to conform to all those three different elements that are needed in order for technology and innovation to work. It needs to be usable by all.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for sharing your insights on how technology sustainability in Middle East is essential, and it should be advanced, it should be eco-friendly, it should be cost-effective as well, along with the latest trends. Moving to Alina now, how does the Middle East compare to other regions in terms of glass consumption and production?
We have been, I'm not going to repeat a little bit myself because we have been kind of discussing that and across the whole panel. But what I wanted to say here, if we look at Europe and North America, I mean, if you compare them with the Middle East, what the Europe and North America had done before is like they are very well established manufacturers, and in terms of technology and innovation, they still keep researching on that. So I would say that Europe is always have been a strong market of use of glazing and how the glazing and is developing, what kind of technology they are trying to achieve. But if in terms of production, always Asia, if you look at China and India, they are always have been because they dominate the global glass production because the sizes of the manufacturers that you have there. What I am seeing coming to the Middle East right now, like many of these manufacturers well established in Europe, even in Asia, they are trying to come to the Middle East right now because we are needing more and more the local production instead to always importing from overseas. Of course, it needs to implement, there is cost as well, but I have a few manufacturers I know closely, and they are actually coming from Europe and Asia itself, establishing in Saudi Arabia, establishing in Dubai, even moving their headquarters and focusing their headquarters now on manufacturing in this region because it is more and more needed. Middle East, because the construction industry is driving the use of glass, and there is a booming right now. They really need more to have it locally. So there is commitment from a lot of big headquarters of glass manufacturers just trying to establish here in the UAE and Saudi Arabia itself. I would say that America and Europe will be there in consumption. They are a really strong market in consumption, but Middle East right now is coming up in the top, and how the production manufacturing industries are coming to the region is quite interesting to see. But I mean, what I actually look forward is like they keep really, as Sandra was saying, looking for what kind of technology, what kind of innovation, and how we are going to balance the cost and implementation at the end on the project. So hopefully we will see more, and it will be quite exciting because we are in the region right now to see how we can get the glazing industry more advanced, either from innovation for technology, or even as Sandra just mentioned, how we actually can explode the self-cleaning glass that it has been kind of left behind before.
Thank you very much, Alina. Your thoughts have, with your thoughts, we are able to analyze how Middle East market is rapidly increasing in terms of consumption and production as well, positioning itself as a competitive player globally. And with that, we also have to pick up some of the advancements which are left behind with the time. Moving on to our next speaker, Amrutha, I would like to ask what is the direction the glass industry should take to optimize the current situation in terms of research and development?
Hello. Yeah. Thank you for the question, Anjali. So I think my thoughts are very much in line with what Sandra just explained. The whole, what do you say, the application and the research just all got to go hand in hand. And every time we see a challenge as an architect, we need to kind of understand what are the challenges the buildings we've previously designed are currently facing. And then we need to come up to a place where we are working side by side with the vendors, with the R&D teams to give them direction on, this is where we need to improve in terms of aesthetics, in terms of energy efficiency, um, in terms of the changing climatic scene. I think only then do we really have, that would be the right direction and how to grow this industry, because everything is changing with the time. Like the products which are in significance, let's say 10 years back, might not be the best products out there today. And it also goes both ways. Whenever there is a new piece of technology developed, it's also important that reaches the architects at the right time so that, they can take it forward. I think that would be the best way to optimize the current situation.
Thank you so much, Amrutha. Indeed, you have highlighted a very important points of this industry. The glass industry should prioritize research and development to drive innovation and enhance sustainability, optimizing current processes and the products. Last but not the least, now I have question for Yoann. How are consumer preferences and market dynamics influencing product development and marketing strategies in the Middle East glass industry?
That's thank you. That's a great question. Actually, we are delighted to have a sustainability target on most of the brief we receive right now. And even now, it's not only about, those good old, lead well, fit well, you name it, but it's also about embodied carbon target. So this is pretty recent, and this is pretty amazing. So establishing target for the long term from client, well-known developer here, who have this sort of not, but committed to at least work on embodied carbon over time. And there was that trend of pledging for greenhouse protocol, architects declare architecture 2030, but the most important thing is to quantify these progress. And I have a feeling that Madam Woodall would agree. But what we do at Woods Bagot is every project goes to a very thorough post lesson learned, and we call it design intelligence document, which actually quantify what were the progress made, what was the real impact, and we can compare it from an office to an office, from a resi to a resi, and we can show client this is added value. You would get more out of it. We've done it many times. It's a cycle. We've done it on, and we found ways to make it better. So, to answer your question, and as an architect, I would say that design can play a big role. Yes, material is very important. It's, I think, 90% of the, and the footprint of a building. But so I had the honor, for instance, and I'd like to give example, but to work on Como Tower on the Palm. And if you look at the design of this building, every single facade is glazed but self-shaded. And I'm not saying that's the most sustainable building ever, but there's no direct light going on to any piece of glass in this building, and it's pure design. So, there's a part where it's about quantifying what we achieve, showing the client we're meeting your target, but you will also get added value from it, and then work with supplier from day one. So you call your supplier, you work with the best, and over time, the idea is that you can quantify if you're meeting your target, and it's not about that pledge that might be forgotten a few years from now and then turns into another pledge. So, thank you to client, thank you to developer for putting in their brief clear target that helps us as professional to contribute to a more sustainable industry and progress in construction and design, really.
Thank you very much, Yoann, for sharing interesting information on how companies are increasingly focusing on innovative, sustainable solution to meet market demands and stay competitive at the same time. And now I summarize this insightful webinar where we can conclude that the Middle East glass industry presents a plethora of market opportunities and innovative technologies shaped by various factors. One of the prime drivers in the region's flourishing construction sector, which fuels demand for glass across residential, commercial, and infrastructure projects. Moreover, there is a notable shift towards sustainability in architectural glass, apart from that, promoting rising demand in glass containers as well. With this, I would like to appreciate and thank you all once again for sharing your expertise and knowledge to this discussion. It has been truly beneficial, and thanks to everyone who has joined us today.